happy accidents along the way. So far, this fits in a car that is stock. I have to slot the holes for the mounts to run this cylinder head, because the cylinder head is shaped 50 thousandths, and so I have to slot the holes in order to compensate for the distance, either there or back on the bottom. I haven't decided yet, but when this is all the way into its position, it clears the battery tray by a mile. So now all I have to do is confirm the alternator is going to fit over there like it's supposed to, which it should. I have to move the heater hose to the late model position over here, and then everything ought to drop right in there. I have to move the wiring harness down to that side, and that should give me everything I need for this to be set up right now. Another thing that's cool, because this is the inlet, this is the air filter side, because this is originally the car's factory cold air tube from the horse port. Technically, you could run this in here, through here, and either set up a filter box of some sort with a filter here, or put a filter here, or put a filter here, or something. But you could utilize a lot of the stock stuff, because you could keep the battery here if you really wanted to. Because I have to do some fun tubing trickery to get the intercooler piping up here, which now that I'm looking at it, I could probably still make a custom pipe that would fit, because I do have 2.5 inches of room there. It would fit up through here and still clear the battery and come out that hole, which is what I'm probably going to do. And for this car, the new air filter inlet will probably be through the fender down here and behind the bumper on this side. Now let me get the rest of this stuff done here, and I'll be right back. Alright. It's in. It has a mile of room everywhere. That fits in there better than I thought it was going to. Just like the supercharger did. I couldn't be happier at the moment. Pardon the noisy furnace. Nothing but room. Actually, even get up in there and still touch the fuel pump. Not that it's going to matter on this one, it's going to have an electric one, but either way. I do have to reroute the clutch cable, because the clutch cable is now crammed up behind it at the moment. But I ran to the inside of the steering shaft with it the last time I ran the clutch cable. If I run to the outside of the steering shaft, I can run it over here on the frame rail, and it'll pass right by and out of the way. So that works. That works. Now I gotta make the tensioner for the belt and get the belts on here. Then I'm gonna start doing the plumbing. And once I've got all the plumbing satisfied, this all gets to come back out of here, because then that engine's getting put together and going in this one's place. And it all gets to go put back on. But it looks like, if I'm careful, I could, I'm not going to, but I could put it in with everything on it, because it'll clear. I mean, this is like, I don't know, best case scenario. Now, one thing I did notice, yeah, I tripping over my words here. One thing I did notice is the vacuum advance on this particular distributor is in the way, because the distributor needs to move a little bit further this direction. But this distributor here has a spot on it back there that touches the block. I don't know if you can see it, but these other ones don't. Obviously my dyno distributor doesn't, because it doesn't have an advance on it. But this one, you see that vacuum advance will go all the way back to where the fuel pump's at, which is way out of the way. And it'll actually go more because the fuel pump's in the way, it won't do. But it doesn't have anything touching the block. As a matter of fact, it even has extra clearance. So I got to figure out the part number on this particular one here and see what years those came off of. I believe these are probably the later model ones, but we'll see. Once I've got that recorded though, that'll go on my list of parts needed for this particular job. So it definitely needs that distributor to make it work past that alternator, but aside from that, that is really the only hurdle I'm sitting at the moment, and that can be addressed when I put the engine in. And it'll just be a matter of indexing the rotor and figuring out where cylinder 1's going to sit on the cap. Go from there. So back on a little bit of development here. We got a couple of things to move around, and we'll be right back with some more done stuff. Alright, so I've got the holes marked out for where the charge pipes are coming through. Got the intercooler centered in the front of the car. See, it's got the elbows on it already. We got to come from the bottom of the supercharger towards the core support. It's got to kind of make an upswing and then come out. It'll go through the intercooler, through here, into our charge pipe for the boost hat, through our blow-off valve. Carburetor modifications are going to consist of the choke being removed, externally referencing the power valve inside here, because referencing it with vacuum drop from the bottom of the carburetor is no longer going to be viable, because once you have boost up here, it changes things drastically. And the power valve doesn't work. So you have to tap into the side with a barb, block off the port on the bottom of it, and then as soon as boost goes in there, after you remove the spring from the power valve's base, boost will push it open and it will enrich it and it'll be fine. Another thing is on the secondary, there's an air bleed for each side, primary and secondary. Secondary side, you plug off the air bleed. You want it to go full rich based on the jetting you have. That's how you're going to tune the secondary. As far as any other modifications, there really isn't any. You need a rising rate fuel pressure regulator, which I have here. Anything above 3 or 4 psi at the head, when you start to see boost pressure, for every pound of boost you go up, you want to go up a pound of fuel pressure. These already have solid plastic floats in them, so you don't have to worry about the floats getting crushed. The air horn is also inside the area for the pressure, so everything will be pressurized. As low boost as we have, or the low boost settings that we're going to be running, we don't have to worry about the throttle shafts giving us issues. You only see fuel and air pushing out throttle shafts on wore out carburetors or really high PSI. We're not going stupid crazy. We're just going for fun levels of boost. So there won't be a whole lot there. I got to figure out where to mount this. Got to figure out how to plumb it, and then I've got a Carter fuel pump back there that goes as close to the tank and as low to the bottom of the tank as I can possibly get it, because electric fuel pumps don't like to pull fuel, they like to push it. So you'll get a much happier fuel pump if it's close and low, and the reason for that is because it being low, it can create its own suction. That's not what I'm looking for. Siphon. It can create a siphon, so it doesn't have to work as hard to pull fuel out. You also want to make sure the tank's properly vented, and you want to make sure your return line is sufficient so you don't end up with a bottleneck of fuel backup. You'll run rich all the time, which won't hurt the engine so much in this particular instance. But you'll foul out spark plugs and it'll run like crap, and there's just no reason for that. So that's the next step. I'm going to get on doing the rest of the plumbing here, and I think I'm also going to, in the morning, open up over here. You can see over in this corner here, I have another spot, not marked yet, but over there. What we're going to do also, this area needs to be braced from here down, but this can be opened up as long as I don't go into the bends. There's already a hole here. I can open this up a little bit. I can open it up on the inside, and what this is going to allow me to do is run fender well heat extraction vents, or simply space the fender out at the bottom and let the air rushing past the door jamb pull the heat out. But it's going to get the extra heat out of the engine bay. Whether we do it cosmetically or we do it where you don't see it, but it's subtle enough it's going to work, that's to be seen. I think we're going to probably space the fender this year, and then next year when we finally get ready to do a bunch of other things like paint, body work, we'll install some actual vents. Right now it's just got to function. Alright, there's the intercooler. It's not mounted, but it's chilling there. I got the air filter in where it needs to go. I had to build an air filter adapter, kind of step it up, because the smallest neck you can get is 3" and all my piping is 2.5. And I'm going to come up through there behind the headlight, and it routes over into the top of the, I think it was a water jet cut flange, and then I have the lower one done as well, and it comes out. I have 190 left to make the 90 up, but then I have to make another 90 here and then another 90 into here, so I need a couple small 90s, but then it's complete. It goes in over here and it'll go into the charge hat from over there. So far the layout is really nice. So this awesome piece of machinery showed up this morning. Been waiting on this one for a while. This is what's going in my 78. Originally it was going to be the same engine setup I'm doing in Michael's car there, but this one came up and all the parts finally fell into my lap, so it's getting an Opel engine instead, and a turbo one at that. Got this one scored up in Michigan out of a junkyard from a really clean, I think 89 Sunbird. Whatever the last year for the Sunbird turbo with the distributor. So, don't know. I actually prefer the distributor setup because that gives me some options. And if I want to go distributorless, I can always add a reluctor wheel and go that route. But for the most part, this is going to work out pretty well. There is some, because it's a front wheel drive engine, there's some changes that have to happen, but I want to point something out real fast here while I have this sitting here, and we'll get into this further at a later date once the race car is done. But these holes here, that one, and the one that the knock sensor is in, which can move over, that is a rear wheel drive engine mount placement, and there is one on the other side. A lot of the water fixtures are adapted to run back and around when they would have normally come out here. So there's some things that tell me that GM basically took Opel's rear wheel drive engine last minute, turned it sideways, and gave it to us in the Sunbird, and then continued up through a lot of other cars up till about 2014 in the a couple of them. This particular one in 2-liter fashion kind of ended in '99, 2002 era with the Daewoo's, but there's some other engines that are available. I don't know. We'll get into this at a later date. Like I said, this is gonna be fully covered. I gotta get an engine stand for it, and I gotta get it in the garage here later. Right now, I'm gonna get my butt right back in there, and we're gonna focus on that today. Well, our lofty goals aren't going to get met, I don't think. Not without having a bunch of other problems, but this is what I've got going on right now. I have this sitting here, ready. Everything is ready. I have to finish this 90. I gotta pie cut it a little bit. I gotta bring it up right about here. After I got the radiator in the car, I realized coming out here wasn't going to be an ideal situation because the radiator took up this much more space. So I got to come a little closer to it. So that was a change. But I left myself space to do that in there. There's plenty of pipe in there. Probably going to take it off to about here, and then I've got that 90 I'm also going to cut off about the same spot, so it's going to make a nice tight one. If I have to make a couple pie cuts in it, I will, but I'm going to hope I can just make one cut there, one cut on that elbow over there, and weld it together. Yeah, and then after that, I got to go up still the jigs and get a couple more little 90s since nobody in town seems to know what I'm talking about or have anything that's halfway decent. So that's where I'm at with this. So this is pretty much done. All of the inlet side is done. You guys saw that in the car. This is done. I got a couple braces to make. I'm getting ready to take the lower valance off so I can make room for the chin spoiler and things. I've got the MSD sitting there ready to go in under the dashboard. I've got the battery cables sitting there ready to route. Obviously the old short block is still sitting in the car. I needed the head so I could get accurate spacing for the brackets for that, as well as the exhaust manifold. I did move the coolant pipe over to this side and moved it to the late model heating routing, and I custom bent that pipe a little bit to clear the exhaust. So now I've got the heater line set, done, ready. This just needs to be finalized. Now you can see where it hides underneath there, and then back here I'm gonna cut it, and I'm gonna bring that up into that area right there, and then just weld it all up inside. So for the top side it looks stock, and again, this is just for fun. Doesn't have to be, this didn't have to be this overly engineered, but it really doesn't take me that long to do this. I'm just saving it for last because again, this is something I can throw together pretty quick, and I already know how it's going. And if time came down to it, I have another charge pipe made already with a carb hat. So I have to switch bumpers. I got another bumper out there that is getting those rubber pieces, but it's not chrome because the chrome bumpers are heavy. Not only are the chrome bumpers heavy because of the chrome that's on them, but there's another car that's going to be using that they own. So I have a lighter, plain steel bumper out there. We're going to do a chrome vinyl wrap on. I'm cutting a bunch of weight out of it tomorrow and getting the bumper struts cut and mounted in there as well. We're just in the finishing stages now. I got to go to the junkyard to get a steering shaft for the Fiero. I'm lacking the U-joint that I need to get rid of the rag joint. Then that's getting mounted, and that's getting mounted. So that'll take care of the front end. I gotta weld the turrets, because everybody that drives a Chevette knows that these like to pop up through and hit the hood. We're already using the heck out of it. So I'm gonna weld all the way around that, or at least in 3 places. around it, so I might as well just weld around it. That way it's done, I don't have to worry about it. And the rear end is outside, ready to go in the car. So drive shaft is last. I'm trying to think if there's anything else around here. That's pretty much it. That's where we're sitting. So we're close, very close. A couple more days. Obviously I've got the fuel pump to mount under the car yet, but I need to get everything in here done, and on the front end done, and then the front end on the car on the ground, and this thing turned around and the rear end in it. But I am at a point here within the next couple days. We should be seeing this done, back in there, or at least going back in there, and then all of the front end stuff being finished up. What I've got left, as far as cosmetically goes, is just to put the later model fenders on at this point in time, the chin spoiler on, and get the headlight bucket adjusters moved so I can put the round headlights and stuff in. Just little stuff. Just little stuff. I tell you though, that little stuff is what's going to kill us. That little stuff kills everybody. One other thing, if I've got time, if not, next year, I have a weld band that I'm going to be putting together for this engine. Let's see if I can, those pans, those stack of pans right there, I went and got me some cheap hinges. I'll put some I'm going to build my own trapdoor hinges, my own trapdoors in the bottom of one of these pans. One thing I am doing before this thing takes off out of here, though, is I'm going to cut a simple windage tray. Well, not a windage tray, but a windage tray. I'm going to cut a simple windage tray. Try and keep some of the oil from sloshing into the back of the pan on acceleration or around the crank. No more than we need. That's where we're sitting. Man, I tell you, this garage is impossible to work in sometimes. Part of the reason why I'm running a little behind is I spend my day chasing my tail in here because I'm doing a shop level amount of work in a garage that's hobbyist size at best. When there's a full Chevette in here, there really isn't any work. So, I mean, what are you gonna do? If I had a bigger car for my hobbies, I'd be screwed. I'm into Cadillacs too, by the way. And I can tell you right now, my 70 DeVille would not have fit in this garage. It'd have been hanging out the garage by a foot and a half. So working on it in here would have been impossible. So, that is what it is. But I am calling it an evening for this evening. Yes, I'll get on this here shortly. You guys will see some more updates on this, and with any luck, I know I said I wanted to be road testing this thing like by tomorrow. This is a Saturday and tomorrow's Sunday. That was the idea, but between me and the owner, Michael, we would rather have it done right. So taking my time. I rushed it a little bit because I want to get it done. But we also want to have it done right. So rather than try and go for the 6-day, we're going to plan for a longer period of time if this thing gets finished up by the end of the week. I made it. Awesome. But so far we're on day, like, I don't even know anymore. But the last 6-day thrash just isn't going to happen. I just can't do it. But I'm gonna try and get things done. I'm gonna quit rambling now. I'm tired. I'm gonna go inside and I'm gonna go to bed. You guys take it easy. I'm gonna see you tomorrow, rest of the week. Lots of updates coming. Y'all keep the shiny side up.